Isolation in space is not exactly the same as I think the isolation many of us have experienced recently because of coronavirus. But there are some aspects to my experience in space that strike me as still so similar. So, I had prepared for it, I had trained for it, and I knew there was an end in sight. That's not the same. But I couldn't communicate with the ground by just shouting out of the window, picking up a phone, or even knocking on the wall. Yeah. So there was a big thing in terms of communication, and this regular and frequent communication from mission control was so important. Not only because then it was some way of organising the structured part of my working life, but also because it was a way of communicating with individuals on Earth, families, friends who would come into mission control and just chat. Now, of course, I appreciated just the downtime, the relaxing chit-chat, but more than that, the psychological aspect of listening to somebody else's detail, hearing about their dog and how the trees were blowing in the wind or whatever. It gave me a different perspective, and it made me realise that, I didn't need to be quite so internal looking, just being able to look out and see the world through their eyes. It's that perspective, that sense of perspective that is a very good thing for mental health. But the other things that I think we had in space, we had a schedule. So yes, it's important, I think, to have some sort of a structure to a day when we're not going into a sort of a work environment. So setting our own structure there, but equally ensuring that there's downtime. And mission control, the psychologists who were looking after us were very keen to make sure that we had that level of R&R. We could just relax with each other or on our own and choose what we wanted to do. And some of that element of choice, that little bit of control, was really useful. And certainly I think one of the big problems that many of us felt at the beginning of lockdown was that suddenly we'd lost control over so much of our lives. This lockdown was being enforced upon us. So if we can have a little bit of control over either how we do things or how we're running our lives, that really does help. And certainly it helped me in terms of what was I going to eat or drink on the day? When was I going to go to sleep? Even though mission control dictated everything else, I could still control something.